Isaac Manor was once a successful software engineer and a devoted family man living peacefully in the suburbs. He had a loving wife, Lydia, and a beautiful daughter, Tommy, who was his pride and joy. Isaac's intelligence and dedication earned him a stellar reputation at work and in his community. However, his life fell apart when he discovered Lydia's affair with Sheriff Peter Ramsey, a corrupt lawman. The betrayal devastated Isaac, but worse was to come. Ramsey framed Isaac for domestic violence, leading to a swift trial filled with fabricated evidence and coerced testimonies. Isaac was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison, losing everything he had built. After 5 grueling years, Isaac was released. At the prison gate, he saw his former wife, daughter, her grandparents, and his brother waiting. Preferring to avoid them, Isaac asked a guard for another way out, citing a restraining order. The guard, understanding Isaac's reluctance, led him through a maze of corridors to a back exit. Outside, Lydia asked a guard about Isaac's release. Learning he had left through the back door, she began to cry, realizing he wanted no contact and recalling the restraining order. Isaac walked briskly towards the bus station, reflecting on the past 6 years. Once a happy man married to Lydia for 18 years and doting on his daughter, Tommy, Isaac had been a 40-year-old software engineer with a talent for creating self-learning robots and developing sophisticated security systems. He needed strong security for his government-related work. His house, large enough for a family, had a spacious garden and office, bordering a nature reserve. Isaac had built his home at 20, using money from developing a successful internet search engine. Isaac was an ordinary man, 6, 2 inches and 190 pounds, with dark blonde hair and light brown eyes. He enjoyed cycling and walking, but avoided strenuous exercise. Despite being shy, he was a caring, charming, and witty person who loved reading and could remember texts for years. 6 years ago, Sheriff Ramsey asked Isaac to update the traffic light program in dens to reduce pollution. This led to Ramsey's infatuation with Lydia. When Isaac completed the project and came home to celebrate, he found an unfamiliar car in the driveway. Guests? Isaac thought. Entering the house, he saw his wife cheating with the sheriff. "What the hell is going on here?" he shouted. The sheriff grinned. "Oh, baby, I'll leave you two alone until you explain the rules to him," he mocked. Lydia looked embarrassed, but nodded as the sheriff left, scratching his groin. "Can we discuss this like adults?" she asked Isaac. Isaac, now icy with anger, replied, "I want you to leave the house. Pack your things and go." "No. You let this happen. It'll end soon. If you don't agree, you'll regret it. If you file for divorce, I'll take everything, and you'll never see Tommy again." "Are you crazy? You can't think I'll agree to this," Isaac said. "I need this, and it will pass," Lydia replied. "You're cheating on me and threatening me. I don't like threats. I'll leave and be back at 6. Stay with your lover, but be gone when I return." Lydia, silent, headed to the bedroom. 5 minutes later, Isaac was in his car calling his lawyer. The next morning, Isaac's lawyer, Ben Green, arrived. They were friends, so meeting early was easy. "Coffee?" Isaac asked. "Yes, black with water. Your coffee is too strong. What's the urgent problem?" Ben asked. Isaac explained he found Sheriff Ramsey with Lydia and the threats she made. Ben looked shocked. "Peter Ramsey? That's bad. He's corrupt, and you need to protect yourself." Isaac quickly decided. "I'll give you power of attorney. Print the documents and I'll sign them. Start the divorce." Ben nodded, and as he was about to leave, 5 police officers burst in, forcing them to the floor. "Which one is Isaac Manor?" one shouted. "I am," Isaac mumbled. "You are under arrest," the officer said. "For what?" Isaac asked. "Your wife and daughter accused you of striking them." "What? I didn't touch them. I haven't seen my daughter since yesterday morning." Ben intervened. "Isaac, be quiet. Where are you taking him?" he asked. "2nd Street," the officer answered. "Be careful, Isaac. Don't talk without me," Ben shouted as Isaac was taken away. Ben secured the flash drive and informed his fiancée, Anna, before rushing to the station. There, he was told to wait. An hour later, he learned Isaac had been moved to another station. Realizing Ramsey's intent, he called a judge. The judge asked to be put on speakerphone. I said, "This is Judge Orlando. It seems the police are preventing Mr. Manor's lawyer from accessing him. 3 transfers before noon is strange." The officer hesitated. He said, "No, sir. Just a clerical error. Manor is on 2nd Street. When Mr. Green arrives, he must have immediate access to Mr. Manor without delay or damage. Now, for the record, your names, ranks, and badge numbers, please." Both men were sweating despite the air conditioning. When the call ended, the boss offered to escort Ben to 2nd Street, where he found Isaac in his cell. Ben started recording. Ben said, "Isaac, did they try to talk to you?" Isaac replied, "Yes, they tried to intimidate me. They threatened me with a baton if I didn't admit to striking Lydia and Tommy. I refused to say anything without my lawyer." "How did they treat you?" "I wasn't allowed to drink or use the toilet until everything suddenly stopped. They gave me a disgusting cup of tea. I'm scared of what's next." "Sorry, Isaac. This is all too well planned. Have you been transferred?" "No, I've been here since my arrest." Ben took a deep breath. He said, "I'll assign your case to a colleague who's better suited for this. I'll handle your divorce. Do you agree?" Isaac responded, "Yes, that's fine. Don't forget your power of attorney." 6 months later in court, Isaac had no chance. Photographic evidence, testimonies from Lydia, Tommy, and 2 unknown women painted him as violent. Isaac couldn't provide an alibi as his hard drives failed during testing. He chose not to reveal his backup system. The prosecutor portrayed Isaac as a bad father and worse husband. Lydia and Tommy stared ahead uncomfortably. Isaac sat stoically as the jury found him guilty. The judge sentenced him to 5.5 years with the possibility of early release in 3.5 years. Isaac expected to serve the full term due to the sheriff's influence. When the verdict was announced, Lydia screamed, turned pale, and Tommy sobbed. Sheriff Ramsey grinned. Later, a woman handed Isaac a thick envelope in his cell, saying, "You've been served." Isaac gave it to his lawyer for Ben Green. 2 weeks into his sentence, Ben visited to discuss the divorce. The envelope contained divorce papers and adoption papers for Tommy by Ramsey. Isaac signed them, despite the pain. He reviewed Lydia's demands: a house, half their savings, $5,000 a month for 5 years, and an educational fund for Tommy. Ben activated a high-frequency buzzer to prevent eavesdropping. Isaac said, "The house was mine before we married. That's unacceptable. Offer them a lump sum of $1 million instead of houses or education funds." Ben agreed and prepared a counteroffer. Before turning off the buzzer, he asked about the investment fund. Isaac responded, "I mentioned it, but never told her the amount." "Has the city paid for the traffic light program upgrade?" "I don't think so," Ben replied. "Remind them that $175,000 is your fee. I may need your help in the future," Isaac said. Ben left, sad that his friend faced 5 years for a crime he didn't commit, but happy he could buy the house he wanted. He needed to extract $175,000 from the municipality. The next day, Isaac moved to his new cell. After the warden's speech, he was escorted to his location. He met K2, the biggest bully in the prison, writing on a piece of paper. Isaac watched carefully and cleared his throat politely. K2 growled, "If you tell anyone I write poorly, you'll die painfully." Isaac was stunned. "Nobody taught you?" K2 looked surprised. "You're the first to ask. I've worked since I was 8. "What are you writing?" "Sorry for asking," Isaac inquired. "A letter to my grandma. Her 87th birthday is next week," K2 replied. "Can I help? If you dictate, I can write," Isaac offered. "No, I want to write it myself. When I finish, you can rewrite it," K2 said. "Good idea," K2 exclaimed, punching Isaac on the shoulder. "Careful. Do you want to learn to read and write? I can teach you," Isaac suggested. Tears welled up in K2's eyes. "Yes, but don't tell anyone," he whispered. Isaac quickly responded, "Why would I? You're trying, and that deserves help. I'm Isaac. What's your name?" "I'm Fabian Small." "Don't laugh, but everyone calls me K2, Fabian admitted. "K2 is the second highest and most dangerous mountain. Live up to your reputation, Fabian," Isaac smiled. The ice was broken. K2 dictated his letter, and Isaac wrote it in capital letters for him to copy. Lessons began soon after. 2 weeks later, Isaac was called to a visit he didn't expect. His brother had disowned him, and Ben wasn't due until next week. In the visiting room, Isaac saw his soon-to-be ex-wife and daughter. With a guard behind him, he mockingly said, "Here to have fun? Here's your chance." He turned to the guard. "I'm done. Take me back to my cell." He heard Lydia cry, "Isaac, please wait." He walked away, the door slamming behind him. Isaac asked the guard, "Can I prevent future visits from them? They have a restraining order on me, but come to tease me." The guard said he'd talk to the warden. Ben and Isaac met in a small conference room. Ben pulled out a noise silencing device. I said, "I have a modified divorce proposal." Isaac raised an eyebrow. He asked, "More money?" "No. Lydia will give up half the money if she can talk to you," Ben explained. "Sorry, Ben. Tell her I'd rather lose $500K than talk to her," Isaac responded firmly. "Isaac, that's an expensive refusal," Ben cautioned. "I know, but it's just, Money. Please pass on the message, Isaac insisted. Ben sighed. He said, okay. Anything else I can do? Isaac smiled. He requested, yes, I need children's books from the beginner to advanced levels. 2 books per level. Ben's jaw dropped. He asked, why? It's for my cellmate. I'm teaching him to read, Isaac explained. Ben smiled. He remarked, that's just like you, Isaac. I'll take care of it. The following week, Isaac received a package of books, causing a stir among guards and prisoners. A guard unpacked them, commenting on Isaac's intelligence. Isaac shrugged and accepted the comments silently. Back in his cell, K2 was furious at the comments, but Isaac laughed. He said, don't worry. We know better. Start with these books. I'll have questions after, so read carefully. Why read books? I just want to read so they can't deceive me, K2 grumbled. You're mistaken. Reading books helps you recognize words and learn more. Newspapers and books can be interesting. Start reading these and keep it quiet, Isaac advised. Fabian grumbled, okay, but only because you called me friend. Aren't we friends? Isaac extended his hand. K2's big hand enveloped it. He confirmed, yes, you're my first and only friend. Isaac thought K2 must have lived a lonely life and wanted to change that. Isaac entered his cell, bruised and punched. K2 immediately jumped up, forgetting his book. He growled, what happened? My wife wants my house. Sheriff Ramsey sent a message, Isaac croaked. They'll keep doing this until you give in, K2 warned. I don't care. The house is mine and has sentimental value, Isaac declared. K2 asked for a description of the attackers. Isaac described one of the 4 men before heading to the infirmary. The next day, 4 men ended up in the infirmary, sending a clear message. Leave Isaac alone. Over the next month, K2 proved to be a quick learner and avid reader. He began referring other inmates to Isaac, who became known as Dr. Isaac. Soon, Isaac had a class of about 10 prisoners needing training. During a lesson, they discussed life after prison and the difficulties of finding jobs. Many nodded, having returned to prison multiple times due to lack of opportunities. This gave Isaac an idea. He asked each what kind of business they wanted to start. One man, a baker, wanted to open a bakery. Isaac asked him to write a plan, calling it a math assignment. K2 said he wanted to work in security. Isaac smiled. Need a thief to catch a thief? You're my head of security. K2, with his gravelly voice, agreed. They shook hands. During Ben's visit, Isaac shared his idea of an investment fund for ex-prisoners to start businesses. Ben agreed to handle the legal side while Isaac managed the finances. They shook hands to seal the deal. Ben then mentioned Lydia. She signed the divorce papers. She only wants half the savings, no alimony. She realized she couldn't get you to talk. She won't claim the house or ask for Tommy's funds. Here are the documents. Isaac signed the papers, reflecting on Lydia's change of heart. 6 months later, he was single again. The investment fund he and Ben set up was successful, helping many prisoners find jobs or start businesses. Isaac was highly respected. Newcomers who caused trouble were swiftly dealt with. Isaac now had a room for his lessons, which calmed the prisoners, making the guards' jobs easier. One day, a social worker asked him, "Why aren't you on the parole list?" Isaac was frank. "The warden is friends with Sheriff Ramsey and gives negative reports. Plus, I don't want parole. Ramsey's henchmen could send me back to prison. I'll leave in a year and be truly free." "You have little faith in the legal system?" the social worker inquired. "No, I was framed by the sheriff and my ex-wife. I can't prove it. Please, don't talk about a fair legal system. Is that all?" Isaac responded. "Yes, sorry to bother you," she replied. "It's fine. The prisoners are happy with me here," Isaac added. She looked confused as Isaac left. He went to his self-defense class. K2 insisted he learn to fight, emphasizing quick, thorough neutralization of enemies. Over nearly 4 years, Isaac had lost fat and gained muscle due to K2's demands. After the last striking, K2 began teaching him how to fight dirty, ensuring Isaac could protect himself. On his way from the gym to his cell, a guard intercepted Isaac. The guard said, "The warden wants to see you now." Damn. What now? Am I in trouble? Isaac thought, feeling his stomach drop. He asked, "Do I need to shower first, or can I go like this?" The boss said now. "You can shower later," the guard replied. 5 minutes later, Isaac was allowed into the warden's office. The warden dismissed the guard and looked at Isaac. I might as well have showered, Isaac thought, but stayed silent. The warden asked, "I heard you know something about computers. Is that true?" "In a past life, I was a programmer, sir," Isaac answered. "Are you computer savvy?" the warden continued. Isaac sensed something fishy. If it's a software issue, I can probably fix it. Hardware is less likely. The computer is fine now. Start looking for the problem, the warden said, leaving the office. Isaac, expecting a trap, began checking the computer. He found a keylogger and poorly hidden problematic files. The issue was simple for him to solve, but he planned to use it as leverage. When the warden and guard returned, they looked disappointed. "Did you find the problem?" the warden asked. "Yes, sir. Better discuss this in private," Isaac replied. The warden dismissed the guard, and Isaac said, "I found illegal videos and a keylogger on this computer. There's also a worm damaging your files. You can claim I downloaded them, but the ISP's logs will prove I didn't use the internet. I can fix this, but I need written confirmation that I'm not responsible and unrestricted internet access." The warden, realizing his trap had failed, reluctantly agreed. "Who is your lawyer?" A week later, Isaac worked on the computer at night, disabling the keylogger and hiding the illegal videos where only a skilled programmer could find them. He installed his cleaning programs and solved the computer issues. Curious about his house, he accessed his hidden security system. He was outraged to see Sheriff Ramsey overseeing illegal activities there. Isaac saw his chance for revenge. He wrote a program to monitor and record live images from his security system, ensuring it worked perfectly. He replaced the keylogger with a less detectable version and left one minor issue to reoccur, ensuring the warden would need him again. A year later, as Isaac was finishing, the warden burst in. He asked impatiently, "Are you done?" "Just wrapping up, sir. If there are any problems, call me," Isaac replied. "I will. The guard will escort you back," the warden said. "Yes, sir. Thank you," Isaac responded. Isaac returned to his cell, and K2 noticed his expression. "What's up? You look like the cat that ate the canary," K2 said. "Revenge, Fabian. Who's next to talk to Ben Green? I need him to deliver a letter. Do you have a pen and paper?" Isaac asked. A week later, an FBI agent read Isaac's letter with growing concern. Isaac explained what happened to him and what was happening at his house, including numbers and a password. She asked the lawyer, "Do you have time for our IT specialist to check this?" Ben smiled. "I have all day." The agent was thrilled. If the information was true, they could finally put Ramsey behind bars. The IT specialist confirmed the connection, and they saw Isaac's house in ruins with Ramsey overseeing illegal activities. This confirmed Isaac's account. Just before Isaac's release, Sheriff Ramsey, rude and loud, was escorted in chains. He noticed Isaac grinning and shouted threats. K2 saw Isaac turn pale and looked at Ramsey with hatred. Isaac's visitor led him to a small conference room and used a noise-silencing device. She said, "Your information helped us catch them in the act. Ramsey will spend a long time behind bars. Also, you might get a reward for reporting his tax fraud." Isaac was surprised and grateful. "Thank you. Seeing him behind bars is enough for me." They talked more, with Isaac evading questions about how he accessed his security system. He still had issues with the warden to address. That night, Ramsey was warned to stay away from Isaac and his family. Shortly after, Isaac was escorted out of the prison through the back door. He boarded a bus, needing transportation, communication, and a place to stay. His ex-conv network, started with Ben, would help. After a short bus ride and a walk, Isaac arrived at a garage where he was warmly welcomed. "Doc, you're free. Want a drink?" the man asked. Isaac smiled. "No thanks, I need transportation. What do you have?" The man beamed. "Ben said you'd come. I got a Nissan truck for you. Nice, clean, low mileage. 4-wheel drive." "It's perfect. How much?" Isaac asked. The man was shocked. "I can't charge you after all you've done for me." "No, I'll take a discount, but nothing for free," Isaac insisted. The man sighed. "Ben predicted this. We'll work it out." While enjoying tea, Isaac waited for the paperwork. He then started the truck and headed to visit his old friend. Late in the afternoon, he settled into a comfortable chair and said to Anna, Ben's wife, "It's been a long time since I sat in a chair like this." Anna smiled. She loved Isaac and knew he was innocent. She noticed his wear and tear, the worry lines on his face, and his now sad but determined eyes. Despite everything, Isaac remained a gentleman. He brought her flowers, remembering her wedding to Ben, which he couldn't attend. She told Isaac that Ben would join them soon with Indonesian takeout, his favorite. Ben entered noisily. "What's that ugly sapphire blue truck in my driveway?" He laughed, hugging Isaac. "Welcome back, Isaac. So glad to see you." Isaac nodded, suddenly speechless. Anna patted him on the back. She said, "It's okay. Take your time." Isaac shook off his gloomy thoughts. "It's a nice house," he commented. The spell broke. Anna asked, "Isaac, what do you want to drink? Beer?" "Just sparkling water. I haven't had booze in 5.5 years and want to keep it that way," Isaac replied. Anna served dinner, then paused with a tray of delicious-smelling food. She said, "Tonight is for celebration. Tomorrow you can fight your battles. Understood?" Both men agreed. It marked a very pleasant evening, the first time in almost 7 years Isaac felt calm and relaxed. At the end of the evening, Ben informed Isaac they had a guest room ready for him. Isaac, feeling embarrassed, said, "I can stay at a hotel." Anna insisted. She said, "You'll sleep here. Tomorrow we'll visit your house together. No arguments." Isaac gave in. He said, "Thank you. I'm dead tired. Show me where to sleep." Anna said firmly, she reminded him, "Remember, we're friends. You helped pay for this house with your traffic light project. Ben will show you to your room. Tomorrow is a new day." In a softer tone, Anna added, she said, "Good night, you big fool. We love you." Isaac struggled to sleep that night, missing the familiar prison noises, but eventually drifted into a restless sleep. The next day, Lorenstad watched the newcomers arrive at the house. Using binoculars left by the FBI, she saw a thin, bearded man get out of a blue truck, looking around. The couple with him seemed sympathetic. They entered the house after the man retrieved a crowbar from his truck. Lorenstad prepared to pick up her son from school. Isaac walked through his ruined home. Everything was destroyed. The kitchen was filthy, the bedrooms smelled, and the electrical wires were cut. All valuables were gone. He wondered if he could ever make it home again. He fetched his camping supplies from his truck and began bringing them inside. Laura returned with her son, just as Anna asked Isaac something. Isaac lost his composure completely. "It's okay, Isaac. We're here for you." Ben comforted him quietly. Isaac finally showed emotion, taking a long time to calm down. He hugged his friends and said, "Thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. The state of the house is unbearable." Anna asked, "Are you sure you want to stay here? Please come with us." Isaac chuckled. He replied, "I'm good. I need to buy a new phone and get to work. This is my home and I'll make it mine again. What are your phone numbers?" They gave him their business cards and walked to their car as Isaac returned to the house. Almost at their car, Laura approached. "Good morning. I'm your neighbor. Can I ask you something?" she said. "You can ask, but I might not answer or want to," Anna said. "I'm Laura Winstad. I live there with my 10-year-old son, Timothy. Is your friend okay? Things have been bad here, and I'm worried about our safety," Laura explained. Ben laughed, but Anna replied, "Laura, your neighborhood just improved. No, Isaac isn't okay yet, but he will be." "He's not dangerous?" "I'm sorry, but it's been rough here," Laura said. "Isaac dangerous? No. He's one of the kindest people I know. He'll be the best neighbor you've ever had," Anna assured her. Anna got into the car and drove away, leaving Laura puzzled. Isaac inspected his house. The electrical panel's fuses were pulled out, but the solar panel box for his security system seemed intact. The house was trashed, with furniture destroyed and valuables stolen. He wondered if he could ever restore it. Fetching camping supplies from his truck, Isaac started cleaning up. Laura, watching from her window, saw Isaac with a crowbar. She remembered the FBI's raid and felt wary, but curious. Isaac called Ben to get his ex-con company list. The next morning, Laura saw Isaac working outside with a laptop. She researched him online and learned he spent 5.5 years in prison for striking his wife and daughter, which confused her given Anna's reassurance. While having breakfast with Tim, a car labeled ex-con services arrived, and 2 men greeted Isaac. Laura noted their slogan, "We learned honesty the hard way," now offering honest work at a fair price. Isaac instructed the men to clean the kitchen, bedroom, and office, throwing out everything. That evening, a truck arrived to remove a dumpster. Another ex-con services van came, led by a woman who brought Laura flowers from Dr. Isaac and apologized for any noise. Laura, surprised, waved back at Isaac. 2 weeks later, with the house cleared, Isaac and a contractor planned the interior restoration. Isaac's bedroom and part of the kitchen were usable. He enjoyed the rain from under an awning when he saw Laura's car struggling. He grabbed an umbrella and walked over to help. "Good afternoon. I'm Isaac Manor, your neighbor," Isaac said with a slight smile. "Yeah, sorry. I'm in a hurry. I need to pick up my son Tim from school. But my car," Laura replied. "Your car isn't going anywhere. You can take mine or I can drive you if you don't mind being seen with an ex-con," Isaac offered. Laura, surprised, weighed the options. "I'm more afraid of driving your truck. Could you give me a ride?" she asked. "Sure. Grab your coat. I'll lock up the house," Isaac responded. Do you need help with the car? Laura whispered, embarrassed. I can't afford it. My ex, Isaac interrupted. Neighbor, I meant help. No strings attached. Or just a friendly face and occasional coffee. Laura, ashamed, replied, I'm Laura Winstad. Sorry for being rude. Yes, please, if you can fix it. Isaac called his contact on speaker so Laura could hear. Doc, how can I help you? The voice on the other end said. Hey, Kate, can you have Joey check my neighbor's car? The keys are in it. We're picking up her son, Isaac instructed. Of course, Doc. Anything else? Kate asked. Just have Joey call me with news. Thanks, Isaac replied. Isaac laughed. Good to know. A new phase begins soon. Looks like I'll need an assistant, he said. Laura, embarrassed, asked, How can I get my car fixed quickly? Don't worry, Joey's on his way with a tow truck, Isaac reassured her. Are you their boss? Laura inquired. No, I help them start their business. Ben Green and I founded iSpecSkin and XCOM to help ex-prisoners. That's why I get extra help, Isaac explained. Laura looked at Isaac in a new light. When they arrived at school, Tim saw the truck and exclaimed, Cool, our neighbor's truck. Why is it here? Our car broke down, Laura explained. Isaac introduced himself to Tim. I'm Isaac. If your mom agrees, you can call me that too. Let's go home. At home, Joey pulled Isaac aside. This car is a trap. The engine's burned out and the rest is worse. What should we do? He asked. She needs a car. Do you have anything suitable? Isaac replied. I have a Nissan Rogue, but the color is terrible. She can take it, Joey offered. Just take this one and change it. Send me the bill, Isaac instructed. Joey told Laura, I need your car and papers, please. Laura, near tears, said, I need this car. I can't pay for repairs. Don't worry. Doc sorted everything out. I'll bring a replacement this evening, Joey reassured her. Laura, stammering, asked, Isaac took care of this? Does he always do this? Yes, Laura. He's one of the nicest people I know. Honest, smart, and generous. He never asks for anything in return. It's better not to start like that with him. A lot of people owe him, Joey explained. Joey added, I don't believe for a second he touched his ex-wife and daughter. He doesn't have it in him. See you after dinner. Meanwhile, Isaac accessed the backup hard drives and reviewed the recordings. He saw his wife breaking her marriage vows, his discovery and the subsequent threats, and Ramsey explaining their plan to frame him. The tapes showed the makeup artist and someone called Doc signing paperwork. Isaac sat in silence as tears streamed down his face. He felt betrayed and rewound the footage. He paused when he saw Ramsey and noticed the body language of the men, including the prosecutor and the judge. He heard Ramsey say, This man is a threat. He must be silenced permanently. Isaac stopped watching, turned off the hard drives, and called the FBI. When they arrived, he handed them 2 discs. I need certified copies of these recordings, he said. These notes show I was framed and imprisoned despite my innocence. I have accounts to settle. Lydia was working as a legal secretary, a job Peter arranged. She felt guilty but stuck to her story. Her daughter barely spoke to her. The prosecutor called her into his office, where an FBI agent, Smith, showed her credentials and said, We're reopening Isaac Manner's case. Lydia turned pale. Why? She asked nervously. Agent Smith showed footage of Lydia and Ramsey plotting against Isaac. Lydia fainted. When she woke up, the prosecutor was handcuffed. Agent Smith said, You think you can get away with this? We have months of recordings, including a slaughter plot. A week later, Lydia confessed. Ramsey was charged with multiple crimes and would spend the rest of his life in prison. Lydia was convicted of false reporting and perjury. Isaac made it clear he didn't want his former daughter left without a mother. He went to Ben, wanting to scare Lydia. Ben sued Lydia for $100,000 for each year Isaac was imprisoned. Ramsey was also sued for $1 million per year. Isaac was imprisoned, plus damages to Isaac's home and the environment. The city of Dens quickly settled its part in Isaac's unjust imprisonment. Ramsey, arrogant, thought the lawsuit would have no consequences. His lawyer put little effort into the case. The court ruled in Isaac's favor, and Ramsey lost his fortune, which went into a trust fund for Isaac and Ben's investment company. Lydia was terrified of Isaac's lawsuit. She lost her job and faced losing her home. She was isolated in prison, ignored by fellow inmates. A guard cynically told her about an investment program started because of her actions against Isaac. Ramsey, learning Isaac was awarded $5 million plus $500,000 for renovations, screamed, I'm going to liquidate Isaac. Less than a week later, visitors came to him at night, not as gentle as before. Isaac had been out of prison for a year. K2 joined him, and they became close friends. Isaac's house was restored, though minimally decorated. He quietly bought all the houses for sale in the cul-de-sac. One stormy night, he saw Laura and Tim huddled in the doorway, wet and shivering. Angrily, he grabbed 2 raincoats and ran downstairs.
"What are you doing? You'll freeze!" Isaac shouted. "Here, put these on and come inside."
Laura initially wanted to refuse, but after looking at Isaac, she decided otherwise. Safe in Isaac's house, she looked down and quietly said, "I'm sorry. I panicked." Isaac calmed down and answered softly, "Sorry for shouting. I was concerned. What happened?" "The electrical panel exploded," Laura explained. "Okay, someone will check it tomorrow. Stay here tonight. I'll set up beds for you and Tim. No objections," Isaac insisted. Isaac found some t-shirts and showed Laura the bathroom for hot showers. Setting up his flip phone in the office, he heard Laura in the doorway and noticed her figure. Embarrassed, he asked, "Do you need something?" "Yes, you big idiot. I need to thank you. Can I kiss you goodnight?" Laura kissed his cheek and asked, "Why did your ex leave you and treat you so badly?" "I don't know. Anyway, she's behind bars now," Isaac replied. Laura blushed and ran to get dressed. When she returned, Isaac explained, "I designed hidden backup security systems. The external system exposed illegal activities, leading to Ramsey's downfall. The internal system had evidence proving my innocence." He sent Laura to bed, saying, "We have a busy day tomorrow." The next morning, a contractor inspected Laura's house with K2. Isaac introduced Laura to Fabian. Tim also shook hands with Fabian, breaking the ice. Inside, Fabian whispered to Laura, "Don't drink Isaac's coffee without water." Laura laughed. "I know, I tried it this morning." The contractor reported Laura's house was almost uninhabitable. Laura cried. Isaac acted quickly. "K2, install a lock on my bedroom door for Laura and give her the keys." "Who's your landlord?" Isaac instructed. "My ex," Laura sobbed. "He won't sell me the house." Isaac instructed K2. "Handle that too." Laura asked, "Why a lock?" "Neighbors still think I damage women." "When do you work today?" Isaac replied. "I don't need to. They pay me pennies and want 150% for me. I can barely make ends meet and can't find another job because of my ex," Laura explained. What's your job?" Isaac asked. "I studied organization and business. Now I work as a secretary," Laura answered. Isaac, fond of Laura, realized he needed a secretary. He asked, "Would you like to work for me? Full-time? Here or from your house once it's renovated?" Laura blushed. "I have no references and need to care for Tim." Isaac added, "You can work here. I'll set up a room for Tim and help with his homework." "Make up your mind. It will benefit both of us," Isaac said softly. Laura, surprised, asked, "Do you like me?" "Why not? If you were just a roommate, you'd be in a rental. Now please say yes. Anna and Ben will discuss the rest," Isaac replied. Laura hugged Isaac, kissing his cheek. "When do I start?" she asked. "Now, I suddenly want to decorate my house. You can stay here during renovations," Isaac answered. "Yes, and Tim will be delighted. But first, I need to quit my old job. Can I use your phone?" Laura asked. Meanwhile, Tim found an old robot Isaac had made. Excited, he asked, "What is this? Who built it?" Isaac smiled. "I did. Let's find batteries and a remote so you can play with it outside." 10 minutes later, Tim joyfully played with the robot down the driveway. Isaac arranged a babysitter for Tim, and an hour later, he and Laura headed to a shopping mall. "I quit. They weren't happy and offered me a promotion and more work," Laura said. Isaac maneuvered into the parking lot. "Too little, too late. What did they offer?" Laura noticed his concern and felt a warm attraction. She teased, "What do you offer?" Isaac replied, "You'll start with $4,000 a month, free housing, and my eternal gratitude." "Deal!" Laura exclaimed. "But free housing? You haven't bought a house yet." "Don't underestimate Fabian's negotiation skills," Isaac replied with a grin. 2 weeks later, Laura was amazed at how quickly the ex-convict cruise worked. She started moving her belongings back to her house, but felt a bit sad. She was growing fond of Isaac. They had a solid work routine with morning cardio and workouts. Laura struggled initially, but soon saw improvement. A few nights later, Tim announced he had a new math teacher. Laura, preoccupied with thoughts of Isaac, noticed a car in her driveway. She watched for a while, but was distracted by Tim talking about the robot he and Isaac were assembling. After half an hour, the car was still there. Curious, she approached the driver's door and knocked on the window. Thomasina Manor, or Tommy, had become a math teacher nearby. When her mother was imprisoned, Tommy had to leave her AI studies and get a job. She heard about the construction work from a student and felt jealous, recalling doing similar projects with her dad before her mother's affair with Ramsey. After finding Tim's address, she suspected her father might be helping him and decided to find out. Tommy sat in her car with binoculars, watching her father. Seeing how much older he looked, she cried, but was afraid to approach him. Her mother had once written Isaac asking for forgiveness, to which he responded, "Only if you give me back 5.5 years of my life. Otherwise, stay away." Suddenly, there was a knock on the window. Tommy, tearful, lowered the window. "You're not okay. Come inside to calm down. You're in no condition to drive," Laura said. Tim met them inside. "Hello, Miss Tommy. Why are you here?" Laura maintained composure. "I'm Laura Wenstad. Who are you?" "Thomasina Manor. I teach Tim math. Call me Tommy," she replied. Laura's mind clicked. "Manor? He's your father?" Tommy nodded sadly. "Yes, I haven't seen him in over 6 years," she said, and sank to the floor. Laura helped her to the sofa and asked Tim to get water. "Tim, go to your room. We need to talk." Once Tim left, Laura said, "You'll stay here tonight. Your father taught me to help when needed." Tommy sighed with relief. She finally had someone to talk to. Laura, understanding her unspoken question, said, "I know almost everything. Your father never mentioned your role, just that Peter Ramsey adopted you." Tommy shook her head. "I refused to be adopted. I stopped talking to my mother after realizing what they did to my father. When Ramsey tried to enter my room while I was dressing, I struck him. I left the house when I turned 18. I couldn't call it home anymore. Soon after, my mother and Ramsey broke up." Laura absorbed the information, realizing Isaac thought his daughter was adopted. After a while, she said, "We need to find a way to reunite you with your father. He still has a photo of you in his desk." Tommy looked at Laura, recognizing the truth. She lightly touched Laura's hand and said, "You love him, don't you?" Blushing, Laura answered, "Yes, but I don't know if I have a chance. Maybe I can help. My mom told me he's very shy and doesn't want to impose on women. The more he loves someone, the more distant he becomes," Tommy explained. Tommy confirmed all this. "He loves you. My mom had to be very aggressive to get close to him. Please take care of him. I want to see him happy. I want to see him, but he demanded those 5 years back." Tommy's tears welled up again. Laura had a difficult night, trying to understand Isaac and come up with a plan. She decided to start dressing hotter. The next morning, Isaac was already training when Laura entered the gym in a crop top. Isaac, pleasantly surprised, noticed her weight loss. Halfway through, Laura tested Tommy's claim. "Can I take the day off? I need to relax and buy some new clothes. Tim is at school until 5, Laura said. "That's a good idea. Can I join you?" "I need a break too," Isaac exclaimed. Laura pretended to think. "I'd like that. You can help me choose." Isaac's expression changed. "Are you sure? You know I'm also your employer." "Yes, but you're also a dear friend," she replied, kissing his cheek. "But one rule, no work talk." Isaac smiled. "Got it." An hour later, they dropped Tim off at school and headed to the shopping center. They had coffee before shopping. Laura told Isaac to upgrade his wardrobe to shed his convict image. Afterward, Laura enjoyed teasing Isaac at a lingerie store. She admired her improving figure, knowing Isaac was watching. She tried on several dresses and lingerie, noticing Isaac's reactions. One dress pushed up her bosom, catching his attention. Another dress she liked but couldn't afford. In the sportswear department, she missed Isaac's gesture to the saleswoman. After lunch, they playfully argued over the bill, which Isaac paid. Returning home, Laura found an extra bag and her favorite perfume among her purchases. Unpacking, she felt a glimmer of hope. "I really have a chance," she thought. The next day, Laura showed up at the gym in a different top and tight leggings. She noticed Isaac watching her through the mirror, but pretending not to look. On the third day, nearing the end of their workout, her eyes filled with tears. Isaac immediately stood next to her, asking, "What's wrong, Laura? Why are you crying? Can I help?" "For pennies, for pounds," Laura thought. "I have a problem with a man." "Is he hurting you?" Isaac asked. "In a way. The problem is I love him, but he doesn't respond to my advances." "Any ideas?" Laura said. Isaac stammered. "Laura, you've come to the wrong person for advice, but I'll try. If he's that stubborn, he needs a wake-up call. He'd be stupid to ignore you. You're smart, beautiful, and have a big heart. Be straightforward. He'll come around." Laura stood up, turned to Isaac, and sat on his lap. Blushing, she said, "I'll be straightforward. Isaac, will you make love to me here or in your bed?" Isaac was confused. "What? You mean me?" "Yes, you," Laura confirmed. "Laura, do you love me?" "Seriously?" Isaac asked. Her nod and smile made him realize the truth. Oh, this makes me so happy. Laura, I love you too. I've loved you since you sat dirty on your doorstep. Why didn't you tell me? You're stupid, she said affectionately. I couldn't. I'm your employer and your landlord. I promise no strings attached. Just a friendly face and occasional coffee. Remember? Isaac explained. Laura kissed him. Sometimes you're too decent for your own good. Now here are the bedroom. Isaac took her hand, led her to the bedroom, and closed the door behind them. Later, Laura said, Isaac, it's time to pick up Tim from school, so one of us needs to shower. Why don't we shower together? Isaac suggested. No, if we shower together, we'll never make it in time. I'll go first and get Tim, Laura replied. Isaac reluctantly agreed. Laura showered, dressed, and drove to school. When she arrived, Tim was with Tommy. Laura sent Tim to the car, and Tommy smirked. Found your man? You're walking funny. Laura laughed. Thanks for the info about your dad. I almost had to drag him to bed. I promise to help you reconnect, but be patient. He's sensitive about this. 6 weeks later, Laura struggled during their workout. Isaac noticed and became concerned. Later that morning, she refused coffee and preferred tea. When someone passed with a cheddar sandwich, she rushed to the bathroom. Isaac understood. He told her to take the day off and went to a shopping center to visit a jeweler. The next morning, Laura felt better but skipped training, claiming a virus. She arrived at her office at 9:30 and found 2 small boxes on her desk. Opening the first, she found a beautiful antique pocket watch with a gold chain and a note. Time flies and life is too short to waste. An employer wonders if his personal assistant allows him to make her an offer. He thinks she is beautiful, inside and out, and that over time, she will become even more beautiful. Feeling warm inside, Laura opened the second box and found 3 pregnancy tests. She realized she might be pregnant and that Isaac had noticed first. She felt a mix of happiness, anxiety, and surprise. Isaac appeared in the doorway. Blushing, Laura said modestly, Yes, my employer can make an offer. Silently, Isaac took Laura's hand and led her outside. Here in the sun? He asked loudly. Laura Wenstad, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife? Yes, you fool. You didn't need to ask formally. I'd have said yes anyway. They realized about 100 people had witnessed the scene, cheering and applauding as Isaac placed an emerald-shaped palladium diamond ring on her finger. Oh my God, this is wonderful, Laura exclaimed. Tim brought champagne and glasses. Isaac told Laura, I bet on yes, as you can see. Then he shouted to the others, Everyone can grab a glass from the garden. After the celebration, Isaac and Laura went inside. Laura, tired from the emotions and congratulations, sat with Isaac in the living room, looking out at the forest. After a while, Isaac asked, Where do you want to live? Can you stay here, or should we build a new house? This place needs renovations, especially if you're pregnant. And what about your old house? Laura replied, I like this house. It's spacious and bright with happy memories. Let's stay here. As for my old house, it's yours. Isaac smiled. When Fabian bought it, I re-registered it in your name, so it's your decision. Do you know anyone who might want to live there, or should we sell it? Laura thought quickly. Isaac would agree to anything right now, so she wanted to be careful. I need to think. I might know someone. The next day, after picking up Tim, Isaac and Laura discussed changes to the house. Isaac suggested adding a pool, a balcony, and an extension for Tim. He asked if Laura had found a candidate for her house. She nodded and took a deep breath. I have someone in mind, but please listen and think before responding. Tim's new math teacher needs a place to live. Her house is being repossessed. Isaac asked, What's the problem? Her name is Thomasina Manor. She's your daughter, Laura revealed. Isaac was stunned. What? Laura held his hands and explained. Tommy never knew what they did to you. Ramsey distorted her testimony. She tried to see you and free you, but was blocked at every turn. Tommy even punched Ramsey. Fabian confirmed her story. Isaac's face went through a range of emotions. Finally, he whispered, Poor girl. What do we do now? Laura kissed him. Ramsey will pay, but don't do anything illegal. We have a child on the way. All 3 tests were positive. I don't want you in prison again. I won't do anything illegal. But what about Tommy? Isaac asked. Leave it to me. Can you take an Uber home? Laura suggested. The contractor can take me back. He's working on estimates for the house, Isaac replied. Laura smiled. Your ideas sound great. I trust you. I'll get Tim and Tommy. At school, Tim ran to Laura, who whispered, Can you call Miss Manor? Tim returned with Tommy, who looked worried. To ease the tension, Laura smiled brightly and said, I have a home for you. Really? I can pay for it, Tommy replied. Laura said, yes, get in the car and we'll go take a look. Now. Yes, why not? Tommy decided to trust her and got into the car. Laura drove her to her house. When Tommy saw it, she was confused. This is your home, Laura said. No, I'm getting married and you can afford it. You just need to meet the owner. Tommy became wary. I'm not sleeping with him, she exclaimed. Laura laughed. No, honey, he won't even think about it. Tommy asked, when can I meet this mystery landlord, and when can I move in? Laura beamed. Now and tomorrow, let's go to the house nearby. Tim and I will also live there. Tommy finally understood. Laura watched Tommy's expressions with pleasure as she processed the information. Your father? Tommy asked. Yes, he wants to meet you. We're getting married and having a baby, Laura said happily. Tommy felt a mix of excitement, fear, and surprise. She had prepared speeches for years, but now couldn't remember any of them. Laura took Tommy's hand and led her to Isaac's house. Tim ran ahead and knocked on the door. Isaac opened it and asked, Hey, big guy, are you alone? Tim replied cheerfully, No, Mom came with my math teacher. She will live in our house, right? Isaac looked at the two women and said, Oh, wow, two of the most beautiful and important women in my life together. As they approached, he whispered, Tommy, you've become such a beautiful woman. Can I hug you? Tommy flew into his arms, sobbing, Daddy. They stood together until Laura called them inside. Inside, Tommy closely observed her father. He looked older than she remembered, with a furrowed face and a lean physique. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. Laura interrupted. You two should continue this conversation alone while I prepare dinner. I assume you'll stay for dinner, Tommy. Tommy hugged Laura tightly. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. It's all thanks to you, Mom. Laura smiled through her tears. I will do anything to make Isaac happy. Now go talk to your father. Isaac and Tommy sat comfortably in the office. Isaac offered Tommy a soft drink, explaining, There was booze in prison, but I never touched it. I decided to live without it. It doesn't bother me if others drink. Tommy nodded. Are you really offering me Laura's house? I see some difficulties. Isaac laughed. The only problem might be the restraining order your mother put on me. I understand she needs a place to stay, but she must stay away from me. I don't want to see her in my garden or on my doorstep. She is not welcome here. If you can live with that, it's fine. I understand, Dad. This is only until she gets back on her feet. I also need space and privacy. My boyfriend and I are serious, and my mom and I haven't gotten along since she got involved with that scoundrel. Isaac replied, Is she still an accountant? Maybe I can help her find a job. She should have some money left from the settlement. No, Dad. She got ripped off by that scoundrel and is completely broke. She spent her entire fortune on compensation. She's still a registered accountant and a legal advisor now. I'll try to find her a job, but don't tell her. I'm guessing you're visiting her in prison. Tommy nodded. At that moment, Laura announced that dinner was ready. A few weeks later, Isaac and Tommy were talking in his study. He asked, Tommy, when was the last time you visited your mother? Right before I moved here, Tommy replied. Remember, she's your mother. Stay in touch. You may regret it if you don't. Before Tommy could respond, there was a loud knock. Isaac said, It's Fabian. Only he knocks like that, and went to open the door. Tommy heard Fabian's voice. Doc, may I introduce my son Julian? Hearing this, she ran out to see Laura. Meanwhile, Fabian continued, Julian makes me proud. Despite his father being in prison, he became a teacher. When he wanted to meet you, I thought I'd come too. Julian, embarrassed, stammered, Good to see you, sir. My father told me a lot about you. Actually, I came to ask you something. Okay, ask away, Isaac said. After a moment of awkward silence, Julian quietly said, Alone, please. Isaac led him into the office and found Tommy had already left. He pointed Julian to a chair and asked, How can I help you, Julian? Julian quickly blurted out, Sir, I want to ask Thomasina to marry me. We've loved each other for a long time. With your blessing, sir. Isaac smiled and called, Thomas, I know you're listening. Come out and introduce yourself. Tommy entered, smiling. Yes, Dad? This young man wants to marry you and asks for my blessing. Should I give it? Isaac asked. Yes, please, Dad, Tommy said. Isaac extended his hand. You have my blessing, son. Take care of my daughter. It's time to celebrate. As they walked into the living room, Tommy held Isaac back. Dad? Yes, darling, Isaac responded. Julian doesn't know yet. You'll be a grandfather in about 7 months. The doctor confirmed it this morning. Tommy, you make me so happy. How about a double wedding with Laura and me? Isaac suggested. That would be great. We can discuss it later, Tommy agreed. In the living room, Laura was smiling, and Fabian looked unaware of the news. Isaac sat down, and Julian said to Fabian, Dad, meet my future wife, Thomasina. Mr. Manor just gave us his blessing. Can we have yours too? Fabian's face lit up. Yes, of course, if that's what you want. Isaac hugged him. Now we're family in more ways than one. Julian looked puzzled. Tommy said, Yes, you will become a dad. Julian did a little dance of joy. Tommy explained, When we decided to stay together, we wanted to have children while we're young. Julian's first try was a success, so, Mr. Small, you have a daughter and a grandchild. 2 weeks later, Lydia met with Tommy. You look radiant, Tommy, Lydia said. Yes, Mom. I have a place to live and I'm getting married, Tommy replied. Where do you live and when is the wedding? Lydia asked. Tommy gave the address and enjoyed her mother's surprised look. It's next to where Isaac used to live. How can you afford that? Lydia inquired. Dad still lives there. We reunited, Tommy explained. Lydia asked, Can I stay with you when I'm released? I have nowhere to go. I need a job too. Tommy took a deep breath. You can stay until the baby is born. I'll need the room then. You mentioned ex-con services. They help convicts find work. You're expecting a baby? Why didn't you tell me? Lydia exclaimed. Tommy sensed her mother's lingering anger. Mom, Dad told me to keep in touch with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. You cost me 6 precious years with him because you were too selfish and cowardly to do the right thing. I don't understand how you fell for Ramsey when you had Dad. How could you do this? Lydia was stunned by Tommy's outburst. She realized she had serious issues to settle with her daughter. She was also shocked to learn Isaac had a girlfriend and had moved on so quickly. As Tommy left, Lydia's mind reeled from her harsh words. She had left Peter when she realized she'd been played, and the money was gone. He had wanted Isaac out of the way for his illegal activities as well as for her. Lydia had tried to be a good mother to Tommy and thought Tommy's hostility was just teenage rebellion. Now she realized how deeply she had hurt her daughter, who was far more attached to her father than Lydia had known. Tommy's words cut deep, and Lydia was upset that Tommy hadn't told her about the pregnancy. She knew she had a long way to go to rebuild their relationship. Lydia sat in her room at Tommy's house, feeling the coldness of the welcome. Tommy hadn't hugged her, but at least said, Welcome back, Mom. You're our guest. This is Julian Small, my future husband and the father of our child. Tommy continued, You can use everything in this house while you look for a job. There's a laptop in your room. Have you contacted ex-con yet? Lydia looked down and said, I tried, but they weren't interested. It felt like I was banned. Julian noted, I'll ask my father. He has a say in ex-con hiring. He ensured Isaac's request that you be treated with respect in prison. What does your father have to do with my ex-husband? Lydia asked. Mom, don't even try. Dad wants nothing to do with you. Understand? Tommy interrupted, her tone more commanding than questioning. Julian explained Isaac and Fabian's connection, adding another piece to Lydia's puzzle. She decided to rest, but secretly hoped to get her life back with Isaac. Later, Tommy told Lydia she had a visitor. Frightened, Lydia saw a giant man in the corridor. Julian was tall, but this man was even bigger. The man introduced himself. Good afternoon. Fabian Small. Julian told me you haven't received a response to your job request. Right, I felt like I was being avoided. You were. Your association with Peter Ramsey put you in danger. Isaac felt responsible for the evidence that sent you to prison. Ramsey threatened you and my future daughter-in-law, so we had to isolate you. Now I hear you're looking for a job. Yes, I was a registered accountant and a paralegal. Perfect. My company and Uzbekistan Investments need an accountant. We'll hire you for a month. If you prove competent, you'll get a permanent contract and free housing, but you must not contact Isaac in any way. I'll be your direct superior. Do you agree? I don't have a choice, do I? I agree. Of course you have a choice. You can refuse. Lydia was stunned by Isaac's distance, but asked Fabian about it. The answer is simple. We support all ex-cons, but Isaac will have nothing to do with you for obvious reasons. Lydia was shocked by the hostility, but agreed to the terms. Fabian continued, Tomorrow, come with Julian to our office to sign the contract and meet HR. We'll also arrange a rental car for you. You can use our employee garage, but that's all for next month. With that, Fabian left, leaving Lydia confused. She went to her room and noticed the binoculars. Looking through them, she saw Fabian warmly greeted by Isaac. She couldn't get a good look at Isaac, so she set the binoculars aside and began making a list to restart her life. As it got dark, Lydia heard a car outside. She wondered who it could be since Tommy and Julian were out. Looking through the window, she saw a car stop in front of Isaac's house. The porch light turned on, and she saw Isaac and a very pregnant woman with curly hair hugging. Even through the binoculars, she could see the sparks between them. She felt a surge of jealousy, anger, and loss. That should have been her with Isaac. She realized her own actions had caused this and sat down, devastated, hoping there might still be a way back to Isaac's heart. With only 2 weeks until Tommy's wedding, Lydia tried to learn more about Isaac using binoculars. She observed his silver-streaked hair, slender build, and interactions with Timothy. She envied how good Isaac was with children. Lydia attempted to get Tommy to talk about Isaac's pregnant lover but was always rebuffed. Neither Tommy, Julian, nor Fabian answered her questions directly. The day before the wedding, Lydia learned that Isaac and Laura were also getting married, which stunned her. Invited to Tommy's wedding, she couldn't refuse, but the thought of seeing her ex-husband's wedding was a blow to her ego. Realizing that Isaac had moved on and was having a child with someone else made her feel foolish. As movers transported her belongings to the house provided by Uzbekistan, Lydia prepared for the wedding and celebration at Isaac and Laura's home. Dinner was friendly, the food exceptional, and Lydia engaged in lively conversation about music and theater with 2 young men. When dancing began, Lydia sat alone, watching. Surprised by the low booze consumption and traditional dancing, she saw Julian invite her to dance. As they danced, she saw Tommy and Laura talking to Isaac, who looked worried. When the dance ended, she felt a light touch on her shoulder and saw Isaac. Up close, Lydia noticed Isaac's sad eyes and realized the suffering she caused him. She felt a deep shame and loss of self-respect. When Isaac asked her to dance, she clung to him and began to sob, apologizing for the pain she caused. Isaac responded, "Lydia, I'm glad you show remorse. We're dancing because the women I love convinced me to have compassion for you. I hated you until I met Laura, who filled the void with her love. We dance as strangers with a shared past. I won't avoid you anymore because of our daughter and soon-to-arrive grandchild. But it will take time before I can call you a friend. Remember, I have guards watching you closely." Lydia realized how different Isaac felt now, strong and enduring. She regretted her past actions and the price she paid. Instead of being close to her daughter on her wedding day, she felt like an outsider. Depression settled over her as she clung to Isaac, mourning what she had lost. Isaac saw the fall of a once proud woman and quietly said, "There are people who will help you. I've provided the basics. The rest is up to you." Tommy, noticing Lydia's emotional state, offered to let her stay the night or arrange for her to go home. Lydia chose to return to her new home with Ben and Anna. During the drive, Anna told Lydia, "You are alone and must pay for your wrongs. We saw you realize what you did to Isaac tonight. He destroyed Ramsey, but he doesn't want to deprive his daughter of a mother. We offer you counseling to understand and deal with the consequences. If you agree, tell Fabian." Arriving home, Lydia collapsed on the sofa, overwhelmed by remorse and loss. She realized Isaac had moved on and found happiness. Now she had to try to do the same.